the last part, part 6. Now, this is just to help you understand the issues or the problems that we have with cities. I understand pollution, sprawl, waste of resources. Yeah, but from a government point of view, I'm looking at this. The fragmentation of local government in the United States makes it difficult to solve regional problems of traffic, solid waste disposal, construction of affordable housing. Um, Going back to the transport and the DART line, and the final stop is that Carrollton Frankfurt stop. And then if you want to continue on, you get on the DCTA line, the Denton County Transit Authority line, and it takes you north. Now, of course, this is smaller. It does not hold as many citizens, the capacity of the train cars. Now, granted, they're supposed to be getting new ones soon, but I don't know when that's going to happen. But because the two counties had different issues, I don't know if one county just didn't want the other county telling it what to do or what, but the seamless line, you would think the green line, why shouldn't the green line just extend on up, just nice and easy. It's the same trick, just extend it up. But no, because of these boundaries and the fragmentation of local government, we cannot have that. Now, that is a minor example in this uh, fragmentation, in these conflicts that we have, but it does prove a point. Okay, it does prove a point. A large number of local governments, looking at the second bullet units, has led to call for a metropolitan government that could coordinate, if not replace, the numerous local governments in urban areas. So, what would we have? A metroplex government? I don't know. It's that could be good, that could be bad. I definitely think that a bad point is that one size does not fit all. A ruling, a code, a zoning law that applies for Dallas. Okay, I paused there for a second. Oh yeah, so like a code law, zoning issue, a law in general, an ordinance that might be good to apply for Dallas if it was created by this metroplex government, may not be good for Louisville, may not be good for Highland Village, may not be good for Capel, may not be good for some of these smaller communities that would be embedded inside this concept of a metroplex that we have. And even that, what's good for Fort Worth isn't necessarily good for Dallas and vice versa. Now, in saying that, a positive would be, what if there was only one mayor, one metroplex council? Then think of the money that these cities, especially the smaller cities, would be saving, because they would not have to be employing these upper level governmental positions. Their taxes would not be going towards that. Their taxes could be going towards creating, building, supporting, refurbishing infrastructure within their community. Right? So just something to think about, kind of one part of each side. I'm sure you could think of others, which is fantastic. Right? All right, so on the previous slide, it mentioned federations and consolidations. Okay, Toronto, Ontario has a federation system. The region's 6 local governments are responsible for police, fire, and tax collection services. Regional government, known as the Metropolitan Council, or Metro, sets the tax rate, borrows money for new project. The Metro also shares responsibility with local government for public services such as transportation, planning, parks, water, sewage, and welfare. Okay? So local, okay? Your local government would be responsible for things that local people need. Police, fire, tax collection services. I mean, you like to know your police officers, you like to know your firemen. They are part of the community. They are protecting and serving you, so it might be better to have them on a smaller scale. But then this larger scale government, like they do in Toronto, this metro, um, is more for these larger issues such as transportation, planning, parks, water, sewage, and welfare. Okay, just something to think about. All right, then we have consolidation. Okay? Several U.S. urban areas have consolidated metropolitan governments. Indianapolis and Miami are examples. Both have consolidated city and county governments. Okay, so I can definitely speak to the Florida example. When I was growing up, way back when, it was Dade County, Dade and Broward County, Dade and Broward County. I lived in Broward County, which is north of Dade County, and Dade County is that shaded in yellow there. Um, and Miami was a city. Miami's a city. Fort Lauderdale was a city in Broward County. Both counties were known. Both cities were known. Well, now it's Miami-Dade County because the city of Miami just kept expanding and expanding, and it would just consolidate these suburb areas around it. These smaller towns and cities around it would just incorporate, and that is more so the proper governmental or legal term, incorporate into the city of Miami. And the city of Miami became so big itself that it almost encompassed all of Dade County. So now it is Miami-Dade County. Okay? They have consolidated city and county governments. Another place this is happening in Florida is in Jacksonville. Jacksonville, and I believe that is Duval County. And Jacksonville is actually spilling into the city limits, which I don't even understand how they do this, but they allow it. The city limits are even in some other counties. But the city of Jacksonville, again, is incorporating smaller cities, smaller suburbs, things like that, and towns, and making them part of their larger city of Jacksonville, and it is becoming one large area. And I've not really updated on my Jacksonville politics. It's been probably about 2 or 3 years since I've looked into this, so I do not know the current state of what it is, but I would not be surprised if they are not already consolidated, the city of Jacksonville and county of Duval, that they were not on their way of doing so. Okay, so this idea of growing smart, we talked about sprawl, which is not smart, but let's go with this urban planning. Okay, several U.S. states have taken strong steps in the past few years to curb sprawl, reduce traffic congestion, and reverse inner city decline. That is part of that gentrification, okay, the rebuild, the revitalization of the inner city. Okay, here we go with your legislation and regulations to limit suburban sprawl. Again, referring back to the documentary Radiant City. Okay, preserved farmland has been called smart growth. Okay, we always like to have good terms for this. Maryland enacted especially strong smart growth legislation in 1998. What is it? I don't know. Just letting you know. Some states have done. New Jersey, Rhode Island, Washington were also early leaders in enacting strong state-level smart growth initiative. Okay, all these initiatives and laws and legislation that these states have done is to curb sprawl, reduce traffic congestion, and reverse intercity decline. One of the things that many of these things have done have been to put in bike paths to encourage people to bike to and from work. Just another way of transportation, a more greener way of transportation along green belts. So, all right, new urbanism, okay, development, urban revitalization, and suburban reforms that create walkable neighborhoods with a diversity of housing and jobs. Okay. Usually not including huge factories that are polluting with smoke and smog and dumping in the rivers and stuff like that. But this concept of people can walk kind of these downtowns. Fort Worth is doing it. I've already said it before, work, live, play all in the same area. It happened in the olden times. Again, I don't know what your exposure is to TV and movies and stuff like that, but you would have your store on the ground level, and then people would live in the building above, in the apartments above, not necessarily just a single floor, but 2 or 3 stories above the ground level store. People would have apartments. So you had all your stores within walking distance, anything that you could need, your drug stores, your pharmacies, your food stores, your markets, your your neighborhood dining areas where you knew the waiters, you knew the waitresses, you knew the owners and stuff like that. You knew it was on the menu, kind of this small town feel, even in a bigger city type area, and everything was there. If you go into Highland Village on floor 7, there's an example of this. If you go into Plano, and I forget the name of the development, there's an example of this. If you go into, I know, Fort Lauderdale and Las Olas, there are examples of this, but kind of that concept again of work, play, live in the same area. Your life, everything you need for the most part on a day-to-day basis is within a 2-mile radius. Okay, walkable neighborhoods, the park that you need, the friends that you need, the pharmacy that you need, the market that you need, all within this area. Okay, all right. So of course there's always concerns. Okay, one of this failure to address conditions that create social ills of cities. So we've already talked to you about. Oh, I'm running out of time already. Gentrification. So people buy up old houses, tear stuff down in your cities, and then revitalize it, refurbish it, reinvigorate it, whatever words I said and could not think of before. Well, what does that mean? Then you're pricing out the people that live in the inner city, that are there in the first place. Well, not necessarily because they want to be, but they're cheap there because they don't have access to transportation, so maybe they can um, they can walk to their work, or maybe public transportation is the only thing they have access to, so they need to live in the city to take the bus or the subway or the train around to get to where they need to go. That's pricing them out. So you're not creating jobs, you're not finding a place for the homeless to live, you're not helping those who are poor, you're just making them go somewhere else. Okay. And again, if you want to do a study close by, Dallas and Fort Worth are good studies in this. Okay, gated communities. Okay, talks about in your book, neighborhoods with controlled gate access for people and vehicles. Obviously, this is going to create some type of segregation between the haves and the have-nots. If you're living in a shanty town, if you're living in a favela, I'm not having to press a button to open your gate to get into your neighborhood. No. I'm probably just blowing it down, and I can blow your house down. It's so slummy. So even these gated communities are creating a sort of segregation, or not a sort of, they are creating a segregation between the haves and have-nots of different cities around the world. Okay, your ethnic cities, or I'm sorry, ethnic neighborhoods. Okay, European cities, you can see this a lot. We've even watched the video and the case study of the Turks, the Turkish people coming and moving into Germany. And they were at first invited into Germany after World War II, and now you have pockets of Berlin and areas around Germany that it's like a little Turkey. I'm not even trying to be funny, but the Turks from the country, and they're usually in this periphery and semi-periphery type of classification. They're not in a core, a thrivant, and economically um, prosperous type area. Okay, and then just this concept of world cities that, and we're even going to read an article of this in class, depending on when you're listening to this. We either have read the article or we're going to read the article, that countries are no longer going to be dominant in the world. It is cities that are going to be dominant. Okay? That world cities are going to be your concentration of development, your interconnectedness. Like, people may not refer to the United States, they're going to refer to New York, they're going to refer to Boston, they're going to refer to Chicago, they're going to refer to Miami, they're going to refer to LA, not necessarily as the country as a whole, but they're going to refer to these cities. You know that it's happening somewhat already. A lot of people do not refer to Brazil, but they talk about Rio. Okay? They do not refer to Argentina, but they talk about Buenos Aires. They don't necessarily refer to Great Britain or United Kingdom, they talk about London. Right? So it is this concept that cities will play a excuse me, a larger role in the future of this concept of globalization as opposed to countries. And so, of course, I have a map for that. You do need to know this. Ooh, look at all the pretty cities and all the colors. Look, we're on there. We're on there. There's Dallas. There's Dallas. No, Louisville's not going to be on there. No Flower Mound. Um, but Dallas is more in that urban realms of Dallas. Your edge cities. I'm petting my little doggy while I'm talking. She's so cute. All right, so look at the map. Know the map? Do you have to know where every single one of these countries are? No. Do you have to know where a lot of them are? Yes, and you already should. If I say Tokyo, you should be able to tell me where it is. If I say Beijing, you should be able to tell me where it is. Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, Miami, New York, Boston, any of these big cities in the United States. You had 8th grade history last year. You learned about these cities? Yep, you should tell me where it is. Mexico City? Mm-hmm. Tell me where it is. Okay. Rome? Oh, yes, I think so. London? Oh, yeah. Okay. Paris? Mm, that's another yes. Okay. Frankfurt? That is in Germany. Just know that. Warsaw? You should know that from the Warsaw Pact. Moscow? That's another yes. So I guess you do need to know these cities. Okay. Am I going to quiz you on all of them? No, they're not going to be on your test. I'm not going to give you this map. Which is that? But that's a good idea. Maybe you'll be visiting this map some other time. I will not have it on this test, but yep, I think you will see it again. Of course, all the dots will be there, but the names of the cities won't. Whew, I come up with some good ideas sometime. All right, that's 17 minutes. This is the last of your notes. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned. If you have any questions, please email me. If you are listening to this from another teacher in LASD Human Geography class, email your teacher, or you can email me also. Have fun. Bye.